Well, there we have it, guys. One Edelbrock carburetor. And yeah, it still looks a little dirty on the outside, but a lot cleaner than when we started. We're not doing a restoration. We're not worried about a little bit of external dirt. I'm going to take this, put it on the truck, and we'll see what's going to happen here. Alright guys, so what we've got here today is your typical Edelbrock carburetor. This is a spread bore, and that's all I know about it. Except, this guy right here has got some gum built up in the carburetor. It sat for 4 years without any action, wasn't cleaned. The gentleman started trying to drive it, and it instantly wants to flood out when you're starting it. Once it's driving, it's kind of okay, but pretty boggy and doggy. I pulled it off his truck. It's a 1972 GMC pickup, long box. Very nice truck, actually. What I would call excellent survivor status. And I'll show you the truck when we do put the carburetor back on. But what we're going to do for him today is we're going to pull the carburetor apart, clean out all the ports and passages, give it a bit of a sprucing up. We're not changing any parts here. All we're doing is making it run again, make it clean inside. So you need a very small amount of tools. Same thing with a Holly, mind you. You don't need very many tools. But this is our lineup of tools right here. And that should take care of the bulk of this thing. So I'm going to start by pulling the metering jets. Then I'm going to pull the choke horn and the top plate off the carburetor with the linkages. And let's see what we can find in there. I'm not going to lie, it's a little nice to not be pounding away at engines this round. So a nice little change up for a fella. I have no complaints about that. You saw me just a few minutes ago take my camera on my phone, and what I did was I took pictures of essentially the external parts of the carburetor. The internals are pretty easy, but the external parts, well, it's nice to know that you're getting the linkages correct and everything's going to move and work properly. These are a spread bore, we'll say progressive vacuum secondaries carburetor. And because of that, unlike a Holly that is vacuum secondaries carb, you're going to have an additional Venturi plate. Can't quite remember the exact name for it, but oh, that's interesting. That's not at all it's not hooked up the way it's supposed to be. That is supposed to be clipped in over here like so. So while the sun was blinding us, I pulled the linkages off the side for our choke control, and I disconnected this for the choke flap. Probably didn't need to, but it's one screw and it keeps everything else moving freer if I do want to disassemble further. And then I just pulled the spring clip for the accelerator pump. I'm going to mark that it's in the second location. There's several holes for that. And then we are going to pull out the accelerator pump plunger lever. And again, we don't actually need to, but I find it aids on assembly as well. So it's all very basic. I apologize if the sun makes this video look a little weird. I I do have a filter on the camera, but while I was initially working, the sun came out and everything went blurry. You just couldn't see a thing. So hopefully this is working better. Alright, that is the top of everything disconnected, so now I can actually pull the top plate off the carburetor. None of these screws should ever be overly tight. It's bare inch pounds that holds them down. I'm sure there is a torque spec, but you know, we don't need to necessarily torque them. We just need to seat them and give them a little tweak. And that's plenty. That's more than plenty. If you'll note, my patent pending 5/16 bolts and nuts to have the carburetor up high enough for the linkage to clear, so I can actually have it sitting level while I do this. The good news with the Edelbrocks, there's not very many passages or ports to deal with. So once we get this top plate off and hopefully not tear the gasket, then we'll just we'll go straight to cleaning. This top plate has 2 float bowls in it, and we're going to do an eyeball check of the float levels. This carburetor, there was no problems with it until it sat, and that's pretty typical. So we're not looking at remaking the wheel on it. We're going to give it a good cleaning. I noted last night when I drained the fuel out of it, there was some slime in there from old fuel that had wasted away. And, well, that's what it's here for. And it's nice to have a target. Like, I've pulled apart some carburetors that just weren't working right, and you don't quite know where you're going to get it fixed. But this thing has a definite issue. There we go. There it is. There's our accelerator pump, which actually looks quite good. And here are our float bowls. They look great actually, and I like the height of them. You want them pretty much level when closed, and then open, honestly, they can hit right down to the bottom if you need them to. There are adjustment specs. You would measure from the bottom of the top plate to the corner of the float and make sure you get everything right. The gasket looks fantastic. So other than making sure our needles move free and clear, we don't really have a whole lot to do with that guy. He can sit over here quite happily, out of the way. Ah, there we go. We've got some junk. With my screwdriver, right down in here is a bunch of junk that we don't need in the carburetor. That's bad. Same with over on this side. We got dirt accumulation, and honestly it's mostly from the fuel breaking down over the years. In reality, there's not a whole lot more to pull off on this guy. We're going to pull out the venturis and boosters and the accelerator pump squirter, and then we can get to cleaning. So our secondary choke plate, or this is our progressive air valve. It's weighted and it just open based on engine vacuum. The good news about them, they'll never move more than the engine requires. Whatever the engine is demanding is what it will do. Half, one, half, two. There we go, two. And change. Okay. So now we can just pull that guy out. Take a lot more turns to pull him out than it does to turn him in and set him. And if we look, he's actually really nice. There's not a lot of marking on that. Nobody's rammed it right down to the woodwork. That's very happy. Same with this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and an eighth. Or sorry, 2 and an eighth. 4 half turns. Same thing, no damage, pretty good. It's ready to clean. I'm going to start with some brake and parts cleaner. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to take a spray lube, whether you got WD-40 or whatever, but something with the hose on it. And what that'll do is I can pinpoint it into all the little areas that I want to find out if are flowing. So as for this jet here, there we go, it's bubbling up there. Nice. Same thing with this jet. Bubbling up nice. Now we go to our primary jet. Stick it in. Bubbles up into the venturi nice. That's beautiful. And it's lubricant. It's not anything harmful to the carburetor. It can only benefit it. Now this side, I believe, was our gummy side when I flipped it over. Oh, very good. I'm happy with that. This is from our accelerator pump, so we should see this flow into here. Yep, it's filling up the well. It's not hesitating at all. Very good. Very good. Those are our major ports right there. Now, next up is the air bleeds. Yep, air fuel mixture coming out right here. And bubbling out right here. We're going to try, there we go, we'll backflow it a little bit. Backflow that one, yep. I can tell you without a doubt that this carburetor is now clean internally. Alright, now it's no good if your carburetor is clean but your venturis are not. So same deal. We're going to take our, well, I can see through our air bleeds, that's fine. But we're going to go squirt a little bit right here. Yep. And we're going to squirt some into the fuel feed. Yep. And then we're going to squirt some into this tube. Good. That's one. Emulsion tube, maybe? Could be. Sounds like a term for that. Good and clean, good and clean. And this guy. Ah, yeah, beautiful. 2 down, 2 to go. Good. free flowing. Took a half a second. There might have been a little bit of junk in there. Last but not least, here he is, our accelerator pump nozzle. Same thing, we're going to just shoot a little bit of stuff right in here. Perfect. And again, braking parts cleaner. Okay, I'm going to go get a paper towel. My lubricated tabletop is wonderful, but not great when your fingers are slipping and sliding to assemble everything. We are reassembling now. I've cleaned the boosters and the venturis, cleaned the carburetor, wiped down my table a little bit. Well, my quote-unquote table. And we are assembling. Now I'll have to check the time on this, but I believe we're not even into this for a half an hour just yet. And we are well on our way to having a truck with a running carburetor again. And it should run quite well and clean. You can tell if an accelerator pump is wore out or not by this lip right here. That plunges down, spreads out, and pushes the fuel down into the bottom of the well, across a passage, up to the middle of the squirter, and out both discharge nozzles. So if this lip is torn, cracked, wore down on one side, whatever you see, then the accelerator pump is no good. This one is good. So we're just going to reinstall it. There, that sits down quite nice. All I'm going to do at the moment is put 2 screws in it. And I'm not even going to tighten them up because I want to figure out that linkage. And I got to get this little guy back together here. I figured that would be a good idea. Oh, probably going to drop you 100 times. Be dropping things. Okay. And it's a specialty screw. I'm having a heck of a time with the lighting here, guys. I apologize. As soon as I lighten things up, the sun comes out and makes me unlighten it, and it's not enlightening at all. Hope I can actually use this footage to do this, because I don't want to do this again. I'm going to pull it back apart again. Okay, this linkage rod here went right inside here, like that. And then it goes onto the middle guy, and we put one of our 3 remaining clips in place. Boom. Alright, put that guy on. Then we have this clip here, and it goes on the side. It attaches this linkage to this linkage. I just want to go reference my pictures to make sure I get it orientated correctly. Okay, here we are. Orientation like this. There is a funky little edge on it, and that means it only goes in the one way down below, I guess, but you can still put things in backwards if you're not paying attention. There, we rotate it up, put it in there, grab our next little clip, take the screw out of our way, clip. Alright, 2 clips down. 1 clip on this side to go. This guy right here. And that is for the electric choke. Okay, they're in place. Now we can install the rest of our screws. Once you're sure you've got them all, I just go back around again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Easiest way is to push the needle out of the way and push it down. There's a little groove on the tip of the needle, and then you can clip the spring into that groove. There. And drop your spring. Ta-da! Spring. This has a yellow piece on it, and that is the amount of spring tension. And there we have it. The needles go in. Don't push or be rammy, just send them down nice and gently. Make sure that they move freely before you put your caps on. And there we have it. Did I just hear an old man grunt? Weren't we just talking about that? Okay. Well, there we have it, guys. 1 Edelbrock carburetor. And yeah, it still looks a little dirty on the outside, but a lot cleaner than when we started. We're not doing a restoration. We're not worried about a little bit of external dirt. I'm going to take this, put it on the truck, and we'll see what's going to happen here. Still a little rich on the right bank. Getting better. This guy's pretty good. That's really good. A little lean still, or a little rich. Well, there we have it, guys. Where some people would see a problematic carburetor that was flooding when you try to start it, wouldn't run very smoothly, and they'd start immediately thinking about some kind of bolt-on standalone EFI system. We took it, and within a matter of a half an hour, 45 minutes, completely cleaned all the junk that was inside of it out, made sure every port was clean, checked the gasket surfaces, checked the float bowls, checked the float levels, made sure the needle and seats were clean, accelerator pump, all that good stuff. Checked every single port in the carburetor, put it back on, got it running, and I just finished doing a cold start. And honestly, it's only been a couple hours since I first started it, but I gotta say, it started really nicely. Now, I am going to follow that up with a fresh cold start in the morning, but for now, I'm going to say this thing's running, driving, ready to go back to daily driver use. And it's such a cool truck. So thanks everybody for checking out the video. I hope some of you found it informative or at least enjoyed it. And we took an old truck that wasn't running very good, and we made it run real good again. That's how we like to do it here. We'll see you on the next one.